we are recording. So, yeah, we've got a special surprise guest here, a little off-brand, but we've got Flat Earth Dave from the Flat Earth podcast and the Down in the Rabbit Hole YouTube channel. Welcome.
Thanks, man. Deep inside the rabbit hole. D-I.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no worries. It's the same initials. It's just the initials anyway. So D-I-T-R-H. Deep inside the rabbit hole. What's going on, Lee and Steppy? Before we get started, you guys, gun to your head. 3 seconds to answer. Is the Earth flat or is it a sphere in space? 3, 2.
Oh, it's
one.
A sphere in space.
All right.
Truly agnostic.
Okay. You're on the fence and one of you believes. All right, that's awesome. Let's where do you want to take it? Let's start the conversation. I don't know how your audience is up on this topic, never heard of the topic, thinks that, if they haven't, I'm just a crazy guy, right?
Yeah, well, I'd like to talk about why you're even on this podcast, because I think that's interesting. It was a few weeks ago on Twitter. You were hitting up the guys from the Burning Boots podcast. I don't know if you remember that, but
I don't recall it exactly. I do have some people that do reach out to unknowing podcasts and people on Instagram, and we're just kind of trying to reach anybody out there that wants to have this discussion, because it's always an interesting discussion, especially with people that think we live on a flying space pair in an infinite space vacuum.
Okay, so yeah, I guess your street team, possibly not you, contacted Burning Boots, which is like a couple of ex-military guys who run a podcast sort of in our sphere. We have a lot of the same fans, and I guess they were just goofing on you, and they just posted something snarky. But one of our listeners got in your DMs and said "Oh, go on, not a podcast," and you or your crew said yes. And we got word of that, and then I'm like, no, let's do this. Let's set this up. I'd love to talk to Dave.
No problem. Let me give you guys the under 2-minute explanation of what flat Earth isn't, because people that believe in the globe have a couple of things in common. They don't know their own model, and they believe that the flat Earth model is something that it's completely not. So both of those things together, with a lifelong time of programming about the globe, makes you think this is the dumbest thing ever, and most people won't even engage in the conversation. So I have to congratulate you guys for being willing to even have this conversation, even if you're doing it as a goof. I'm okay with that, because if you're able to listen and if you're able to understand the simple concepts that I bring up, you may have a different look at the world when we're done today. So the flat Earth, if you Google flat Earth, Google is going to feed you propaganda. If you Google flat Earth from space or flat Earth, whatever, you're going to get images from the Flat Earth Society. We are not the Flat Earth Society. The government, the controllers of this world, Obama mentioned the Flat Earth Society a half a dozen times when he was the president during major speeches. Why did he mention the Flat Earth Society? Because he wants anybody that looks into flat Earth to end up there, and Google will take you there. And the Flat Earth Society is not real. It's a government-run disinformation site, and it makes you laugh at flat Earth and never want to look at it again. It says the Earth is rising at 9.8 meters per second. That's what causes gravity. No flat Earther believes that, right? That's nonsense. So if we're not a disk floating in space where people can fall off the edge, what is the flat Earth? And the way I describe it is the Earth is the basement of the universe. I don't have a better way to describe it. It's the foundation of the universe. And everything that we see in the sky, get all those Disney and NASA beliefs out of your head. Disney and NASA are the same thing, of planets and burning balls and stars and comets. Just ignore all of that. All you see is lights in the sky. You don't know how big they are. You don't know how far they are. And you don't know what they are. That's on. Nobody can tell you any different, because nobody really knows. So large bodies of water at rest, anything bigger than a bucket of water at rest, the water lays flat. The Earth is, they tell us, is 70% water. I think it's more, actually. And there is no curvature to that water. So water needs a container. If I had a bucket of water and I got rid of the bucket, the water is going to go away. Bathtub, same thing. Got rid of the bathtub, it's going to go away. A pond, get rid of the edge of the pond, the water is going to flow to the lower spot, right? Large bodies of water need a container. Well, think of all of the world's oceans as a giant pond or a lake. And the shoreline of that lake, the land that surrounds it, is the highest land on Earth. It would have to be, because if it was lower than the surface of the water would flow out and go to the next, ultimately seeking the base level, the next base level. So that highest land is Antarctica. Antarctica is not a continent on the bottom of a spinning ball in an impossible space vacuum. It is the land that surrounds, the world pond. If you look it up, science will tell you some truths. They do tell you Antarctica is the highest land on Earth. I always found that odd. Why is Antarctica, that little continent at the bottom of a ball, the highest land on Earth? Maybe that's why the ball's upside down, from our northern point of view. That was just a silly thought that I always wondered. So Antarctica is the shoreline of a world. You've heard of the ice wall. It's not a wall like the Game of Thrones. That's also to throw you off. Game of Thrones is to make you think about the ice wall and the edge of the Earth. That's not what it is. It's the shoreline. And when you get to Antarctica, which is off limits to independent exploration, there is a 200-foot high plateau that looks like an ice wall. So we'll start with that. So that's what flat Earth is, and we can take it anywhere you want from here.
Well, I love Disney and NASA being the same thing. That's a beautiful statement. But I find it's funny. I thought the whole, when you tell, like, you say, like, oh, the Earth is a sphere, and then you get that guy who's like, well, actually, it's an oblate spheroid, and it's wider at the center.
You're speaking of the high priest of scientism, Neil deGrasse Tyson, the failed actor.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, my Pope. Yeah. So, but that claim doesn't seem to simultaneously jive with the claim that Antarctica would be the highest land on Earth, right? Because, like, if it's the highest land on Earth and also the Earth is an oblate spheroid that's wider at the center.
Well, they're now saying it's wider below the equator, like a pear, right? But Neil also says that because of the centrifugal force of the spin of the Earth, the water bulges at the equator 14 miles high. 14 miles high. And he goes, well, from space, 14 miles is nothing. It's like, you wouldn't even notice it. It would be as smooth as a cue ball, right? You wouldn't even notice it. And but 14 miles high, think about this. An airplane flies an average of about 5 miles high. So if I'm flying from North America to South America, at what point do I triple my altitude to skim over a hump of water that would be right underneath the plane if I was triple my cruising altitude? And the answer is never, because the Earth isn't a sphere. There is no curvature, and we're flying straight and level. Airplanes fly straight and level over the Earth plane.
So Lee here is a firearms expert. Could you get into some of the sort of firearm related stuff? Yeah.
So you're going to talk about the Coriolis effect. No sniper ever calculates for Coriolis. Now, there is one video out there of the sniper talking about he calculates for Coriolis. He is the only one. The sniper's manual never mentioned it. Now, they calculate for heat, wind, drop, all the stuff, but not the spin of the Earth. Think about this. If you're at the equator and you're shooting directly north, what if you're shooting 45 degrees to the north or 30 degrees? The spin, everything would be different. You're looking at a long distance sniper shooting somebody 5 miles away, let's say, right? You got them lined up in the sight. What are you going to turn the scope to the left and hook the bullet around? Because the time that takes the bullet to get there in the spin of the Earth, the person's going to be 100, 200, 300 feet from where you shot. That never happens. A balloon, when we go up in the hot air balloons, they're detached from the Earth and they're not spinning away. We send balloons up to 120,000 feet with cameras. Besides seeing a level flat horizon, they're up there for 3 or 4 hours, and then they land east of where they took off sometimes. Well, if I put a balloon up in Arizona in Arizona, like the Red Bull jump, when Felix Baumgartner, whatever his name is, went up, he was up there for 3.5 hours. The earth is spinning 1,000 miles an hour below him. He should have landed 2,000 or 3,000 miles out in the ocean, but he didn't. He landed east of where he took off, east. He outran the spin of the earth and landed in front of where he took off. That's impossible.
So Lee, did they teach you Coriolis in basic?
No.
Thank God. Because, the spinning of the toilets in the opposite direction in Australia, not true. Okay. I have toilets in my house that spin in different directions. The spinning of the water in the toilet is all dependent on the angle that the water goes into the bowl and the shape of the bowl. You can get some drains to spin either way. It just depends on what direction the water goes in. There is no Coriolis effect. Now, there is storms, like tropical storm systems outside of the tropics, below the Tropic of Capricorn or above the Tropic of Cancer, spin in opposite directions. Now, this is due to an electromagnetic flow of the sun and the moon circling around the face of the earth. And sometimes, depending on where the sun and the moon are, when there is a storm coming up towards the tropics, they will cross the equator and still spin in the wrong direction. So that happens more times than you realize, but they just don't ever tell you that on the news or anything. Spinning in the opposite direction completely negates the ridiculous idea of a Coriolis effect. This is what happens when you start spilling truth. Your mind's looking for a reason to figure out you live on a ball, and you're not going to find one. Like, look, I'm going to ask you guys at the end of this, why do you think the earth is a globe? And I just want one reason. Now, you should try to come up with as many during this conversation as we can, and I will address them. And again, don't believe anything I say. Go verify this yourself, and I'll tell you how you guys can find this information and verify it yourself.
No, I've never really, to be honest, I'm not coming from this from like a pro or anti.
No, I'm with you. I listen,
because this is just something I've never really looked into.
So that is what I totally respect. That, no problem, because they've brainwashed us before we could even talk that the earth is a globe. Your parents probably had NASA sheets on your bed. You probably had a mobile of the solar system flying over your crib. Then they parked you in front of Sesame Street. There's astronauts on there, Disney. It's all ball programming. Then you go to school, there's a globe in the front of the class, and the first thing they teach you is about the orbits of the sun and the moon and the stars. They don't even teach about the stars, because the stars prove the earth is flat and stationary. But, this is all a lifelong programming. And then movies, there's globes in every television show, every movie. Universal Pictures had a spinning globe long before NASA ever put a rocket up to see what the hell the globe looked like, right? And then, 30 years later, when NASA puts the first rocket up, it looks just like the fucking Universal, spinning globe. It's like, give me a break. It's all predictive programming. And here's the thing. Most people, when you first hear about flat Earth, you laugh at it and you don't even want to look at it because of this programming. And then people come on and they're like, oh, the earth is a globe and you're a fool. And then 10 minutes into the podcast, they're like, you know what? I've never really looked into that. Like they're defending the globe and they don't even know about the globe. I'm going to ask you 3 questions. All right. And just before don't feel nervous, because I got them all wrong when I was you. All right. How fast is the earth spinning?
Lee, do you have a guess?
No, I'm not.
1,000 miles an hour at the equator. And I say 1,000 miles an hour at the equator because it's spinning slower the farther north or the farther south you go if we live on a globe. Okay. Because if you're a mile from the North Pole, in 24 hours, you're going 6.28 miles, because you made a circle around the globe. But if you're at the equator, you're going the full 24,900 miles around. So in the same amount of time, your angular speed is the same, but your miles per hour is different. So 1,000 miles an hour at the equator, like 300, 400 miles an hour in Alaska, and in variations all between. Nobody even goes to realize this. The next question is, and you didn't know the first one, you're not going to the second one, how fast are we orbiting around the sun?
Yeah, I do know that the answer is several times the speed of sound, right?
Well, 66,600 miles an hour. That's 10. That is like 80 times the speed of sound. Okay. All right. and then we're chasing the sun at over 500,000 miles per hour. Okay, that's 100. That is like 800 times the speed of sound. It's ridiculous, right? We're going in all these directions, but you can go out to a mountain lake early in the morning and it's perfectly glass, not a ripple on it, perfectly level, mirror reflecting the mountains in the distance. Okay, this is, try to get a plate of water and walk across a room with it, or drive in a car with a dinner plate filled with water. It's not going to happen. It's going to just slosh all over the place. We're going speeds that you can't even comprehend.
I mean, okay, but I mean, people deliver food and like, I mean, I had soup delivered to me for lunch today.
Yeah, but the soup had a top on it in a car, going 20, 30 miles an hour, just sloshing all over the place, but it didn't remain flat. Go in a car and eat a bowl of soup while you're driving down the road and tell me if that soup is not sloshing all over the place. It's going to slosh all over the place. We're going speeds that you can't even fathom. Go when you get a chance. Anyone listening, you guys, on YouTube, look up the hypersonic sled track. Hypersonic sled track. There's like a 2-minute video showing the thing going by at Mach 8.6. It's so fast you can't even see it, and that's we're orbiting the sun 10 times faster than that. We're chasing the sun 100 times faster than that. It's the silliest thing at all. Once you open your eyes and see what I'm talking about, the lie is so big, it changes your life forever. The analogy I come up with is Neo in the Matrix. You guys are Matrix fans?
Yeah. The first one.
The first one. That's what I'm talking about. So at the very beginning of the movie, if you haven't seen it in a while, Neo is like in his apartment. He's depressed. He's doing his little thing. And he's like, something's wrong with the world. He's trying to figure it out. And he's like depressed and depowered and just not doing well. And then all of a sudden, goes through the movie and he unplugs from the mind matrix. This is the mind matrix. And at the end of the movie, look at the Neo. He is taking his power back. He's realized who he is, where he is, what he is, and the power of his mind. Put those two Neos side by side. You got the depressed, weak, uninformed Neo trapped in a fantasy world. And then you have the Neo that took back his power. That's exactly why Flat Earth matters. Because all of the people walking around that are zombies in this world, they're literally zombies. They don't know where they are. They don't know who they are. And they don't know that nobody has any power over them. They don't know anything other than what they're told and what they're, nobody has power over you. The only power they have is in your imagination. Okay. They, when I say they, the elite, the royal families, the Bilderberg Group, the Council of Foreign Relations, the United Nations, the Club of Rome. These are the corporations, the people, the bloodlines that are running our world and keeping us as slaves. The best way to keep a slave is to not let him see the bars that are surrounding him. So they put us on a globe. They don't want us to know what's beyond the shoreline, across the plain, beyond Antarctica. Now, again, anything beyond the shoreline, we can only speculate, but there is a lot of stories that come out of the past of more land, more worlds, more continents. There's probably even more continents within our southern oceans that we don't have access to because GPS keeps us away from there.
So going back to the soup in the car, right?
Yeah.
Isn't the objection not the speed but the acceleration as far as the soup sloshing? Because if I'm driving the car on like a perfectly engineered German highway that's like all bermed and I don't feel the car turning and I stay at cruise control, the soup will be pretty much stable.
So let's go with that. The problem with that is once you start turning, even though you maintain the exact speed, turning is equivalent. That force is equivalent to acceleration. Well, we're not going in a straight line according to the heliocentric model. We're corkscrewing through space. We're speeding up and we're slowing down. We're spinning. The spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, dropping. The drop as we're going around is ridiculous. Then we're orbiting the sun and we speed up and slow down, and speed up and slow down, and we're chasing the sun again in another circular path. We're spinning in 3 different directions at once. But then you go out in nature. Nature is not telling you that. They tell us the sun goes around the earth in one direction, the earth goes around the sun in the other direction, and the stars are just so far away they don't move. and we're just spinning. But if you go out and watch the sun, moon, and stars, they all rise in the east and set in the west, no matter where you are on Earth. You can be in Antarctica, South America, North Pole, Alaska, anywhere. The stars rise in the east, set in the west. That's because the sun, moon, and stars are spinning above us. They are the sky is a giant clock. The sun is the hour hand. It goes around once a day. Wherever the sun is over the earth, that's where it's noon. The moon, its phases and its position keep track of the weeks and the months. There used to be 13 months of 28 days. Okay. But they hijacked our calendar and they
Wait a minute. Noon is a static position on a clock face.
No. Noon. So when the sun is directly over me here in Connecticut, it's noon. You guys in New Jersey, it's noon. But 3 hours later, the sun's going to be over California. It's noon in California, but it's 6 p.m. here because the sun has moved away and it looks like it's lower in the sky simply due to perspective. Okay. And then the sun's light, the sun is small and close and you can't see it forever. The throw of the sun's light can't push through the atmosphere, especially when it's down, when it looks like it's really low. And then it goes due to perspective. And it's not something easy to explain on a podcast, but I'll tell you where you can go see all these videos and do these experiments yourself. Don't believe what you see online. Look at it and go, wow, that person really documented that well. Let me go verify it myself.
Yeah, I mean that's I guess an alternate explanation, but it's the same effect as the heliocentric model, so it doesn't suggest anything one way or the other, right?
Well, sure. So when you go to the beach down on the Jersey Shore and you're watching the sunset, you believe that you're falling over backwards faster than the speed of sound, which is making the sun appear to go down. When in reality, all of the God-given senses that you have are showing you that the sun is just moving away. It's just moving away and getting lower in the sky like streetlights do going down a straight road. You're standing on a streetlight, it's over your head. That's noon. But the one way down the road that's merging with the horizon, that's 6 p.m., 8 p.m., whatever. Okay. As the lights go down, they get lower and lower, but they're not. They're the same height. It's the same thing in the sky. And because the sun is a celestial object, there's layers of atmosphere in between, and those all compress into the horizon, and then the sun just goes beyond them, and you can't see it. Like if we were sitting in a field and there was a fence, a 5-foot high fence, and somebody's on the other side of the fence, 6-foot tall person, we see their head, and then they start walking away. We're sitting down lower than the top of the fence, but because the fence is 20, 30 yards away, the top of the fence looks like it's at our eye level, but it's really 4 feet over our head, 3 or 4 feet over our head. And as that person walks away, their head's going to disappear from the bottom up behind that fence. That's called perspective. And their head is a celestial object. The fence is something in between terrestrial and celestial. And that's how we get these horizons. Now, there's a million videos that demonstrate exactly what I'm saying. And then you can see it, you can visualize it. But here's the thing. Belief is the enemy of knowing. Belief is easy. You guys believe I live in Connecticut because I told you. And I sound pretty trustworthy, even though I'm a crazy flat earther, but you believe it. But if you wanted to verify it, it's going to take you time and effort. All right. Belief is easy. You can believe anything you're told, and then you can go smoke a joint, take a nap, do whatever, go watch a movie. That you don't have to do anything. But knowing takes time, effort, and brain power. So if you want to know what the earth is, you got to do the work and you got to go look. And I make it really easy for you. I created an app called the Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app, and it bypasses all of the censorship that you're going to get online. If you go Google Flat Earth in YouTube, might as well not even research it. You're going to get all nonsense. You're going to get fed Professor Dave, who's not a professor. He's just a paid actor with a well-scripted, snarky video. You're going to get Simon Dan, another paid actor. You're going to get Neil deGrasse Tyson. You're going to get National Geographic lying, and we've caught them lying. All of these videos that they're going to hand feed you are in the app, and we dissect them piece by piece, showing you how stupid they think you are. Okay? Because when you go like, oh, wow, National Geographic showed the helicopter going behind the curve, but it's clearly edited footage, and we show it. We show exactly what they do. Why would they lie if the earth was a ball and they could just show us, but they can't because it's not?
So who wins in this equation?
Well, here's the thing. Who wins? That's a great question, by the way. The elite, these people, and I call them people very liberally. These monsters, these Satanists that are running the world, they don't care about you. You are cattle to them, right? They win if you're lost in space, spinning out of control, and don't take your power back. If you stay plugged into the matrix, so to speak, they control you, they own you, and they will keep harvesting your energy, just like the Matrix. They're literally harvesting your energy to run this world. It's just, this world is not what you think it is, right? And they're literally like vampires sucking your energy. So if you're lost in space, you don't know who you are, you're spinning out of control, and you're just willing to go to your slave job for the rest of your life and, drink beers and watch sports, because sports, they know they have to give us our bread and circus, because we need a victory. We need to feel like we're victorious. But if our team wins, hey, we won, we've got victory. So now that's released out of your system. And then you go home, you watch Netflix, all propaganda. The owner of Netflix was like Ed Bernays, is related to Ed Bernays, the king of propaganda. All of this stuff is to control you and to not let you figure out who you are, where you are, what you are. They don't want you unplugging, because the large number of flat earthers that there are now, all of them see through the nonsense. Once you see through flat earth, you start seeing through all of the other lies that they teach, that they spew upon us. Almost everything you see on the news, except some local news stuff, is all fake. It's all contrived nonsense. All of the wars that we've had are bankers' wars. They're all done on purpose. They're done for purposes of depopulation and division. They're all here to control us. I mean, if you look at the population numbers of the world, our entire history makes zero sense. There should be trillions of people here, but there's not. They reset us every 100 years. In 1920, there was the Spanish flu. Everybody was wearing shame muzzles on their face and getting stuff stuck in their arm, and everybody died. In 1820, there was cholera. 1720, there was the bubonic plague. Every 100 years, they do a thing called the Great Reset.
Is sports entertainment, like things like this, is the fact that the ball round some type of cryptic nod, like a subliminal message to drive that point home?
You mean the balls in sports, like baseball, soccer balls?
Like a baseball or
That's
basketball.
funny. You know what? Maybe balls are just fun to play with. Everybody loves those spheres. Spheres are fun for some reason.
I mean, is this Frisbee, come to think of it, is a particularly marginalized sport. I see a lot of people playing Frisbee with a disc.
You know what? Interesting concept.
TV.
Interesting concept. I haven't really given that much thought, but most large sports are mostly controlled and fixed. Now, you can't fix every football game. You can't fix everything, but most of them are fixed. And they have
the mode of playing is usually heliocentric. I mean, a golf ball.
That
a hockey puck though is flat, and that's a sport played only beyond the ice wall. So
yeah, that's very interesting.
That
you know what? You guys are making some thoughts that I've never even thought about. So I'm gonna have to process that for a little while. Is that your best proof of the globe?
Well, all right. I'll give you what I think is not a proof of the globe, but
you could say, how does this work on a flat Earth? Or
no, not even.
Go ahead.
Just, is it entirely possible? So I'm convinced that space is fake. I accept.
Welcome to flat Earth.
I accept the flat Earth doctrine about like the NASA fakery, right? Yep. That like everything we're shown is basically some kind of doctored video. The ISS is pretty suspicious. Stuff.
The ISS.
Yeah, the International Fake Station.
Very good. Look at you've been doing
yes.
you've been doing a little homework. Very nice.
Oh yeah. Oh, dude, I've watched your channel.
All right. Good.
Yeah, but okay. So what if though is it just space is totally inhospitable hypothetically, but
I don't think it exists at all. I think
but how would we know the difference, right? If it's just like space is just some like
I think it's
frightening water. Abyss, and people can't go up there.
I think it's water. I think there's water above us and water below us. And I don't know if you guys are religious in any sense. I wouldn't call myself religious at all, but in the Bible, page 1 talks about Genesis. God separated the waters from the waters and created the firmament. The firmament's the dome. And if you look at NASA, everything they talk about in space is nautical terms: ships, docking, the Sea of Tranquility. It's all nautical terms. Why are they doing that? And if you watch some of these nighttime rocket launches, it looks like at a certain point they start skimming across something more viscous than air, and it looks like water. And some of us have taken the footage of that, flipped it upside down, and it looks like a boat on the water. Like you're filming from a drone, looking down at a boat, a power boat cruising through the water. It kind of looks like the same thing, like they're skimming the waters above. Again,
so you think your argument is that there is not just no positive proof of space according to NASA, but that there is indeed positive proof of the dome?
Well, that's a great question, and you can't pigeonhole me into that. I personally think there is some sort of physical dome up there, not because it biblically says so, and every ancient religion talks about a dome, but it makes more sense to me. Now, is it energetic? Is it there's a rocket that an amateur rocket that went straight up, unlike all of NASA and SpaceX and all the other fake agencies where they go up and they curve over and crash into the ocean. This thing went straight up 73 miles, and all of a sudden it hit something. It was spinning really fast. We had an uninterrupted view looking down and looking sideways. Unlike NASA, if you watch any SpaceX or NASA launch, there's 6 to 10 cuts within the first 10 seconds. Okay. Cut, angle, different camera, right? It's all just Hollywood nonsense. But this one, it's spinning, and all of a sudden it went kerplunk. It made like a noise, like a rock going into a pond, right? But it wasn't something solid, and I don't think it was as thick as water. It went into something more viscous, more, maybe some sort of plasma. And we had a unconfirmed whistleblower from NASA who disappeared when we started, talking about his stuff. And he says, he explains how it gets thicker and thicker until it becomes solid. And that's the firmament. And that even though NASA has the ability to go up there and investigate what it is, they're forbidden to. And that's as far as we got. Interesting.
And how did this whistleblower come to your attention, or the attention of the flat Earth community?
He reached out to me and said he had some information, and we were talking about the ISS and what it could be, and he explained that it's an old B-52 or it was an old World War II bomber plane that was modified, and the way it was modified, parts of the wings were made out of transparent materials, and then the whole bottom of the plane in a certain configuration was rigged with an LED light screen, and that's when you see the ISS go by, I don't know if you ever tracked the ISS. I have. It goes by and it's supposed to go in 17,500 miles an hour, but it doesn't make any sense because you wouldn't be able to see it with your naked eye. What do I mean by that? So I see it, and I see it show up on the horizon. It's the brightest thing in the sky, brighter than any planet, brighter than any star. It looks like a little piece of the sun, and it moves across my sky from horizon to horizon within 5 to 8 minutes, okay? Well, 5 to 8 minutes. 8 minutes, it should be over California already, okay? And it's not. I'm here in Connecticut, and people in California don't get to see it when I get to see it. So that doesn't make any sense there. The other problem is, the ISS is about the same size as a 747, according to what they tell us. So if you go look at a 747 flying over your head at cruising altitude, which is like 5 to 7 miles high, it's a tiny little speck that you can barely see. You can't see the engines on it. You can just see, okay, that's a little plane, yeah, and it's a 747 flying over your head. If you doubled the height of a 747, you couldn't see it. It's too small. The air is too thick. You wouldn't be able to see it. Well, the ISS is 50 times higher than a 747 at cruising altitude. That is scientifically provably impossible to see. The angular resolution limits of your eyes forbid you to see that, but I can see it with my naked eye. It's way too big. It's way too bright. And if it was reflecting sunlight, how is it reflecting the light into my eyes at the same time as it reflecting it to your eyes in New Jersey? If it was reflecting sun, it would only reflect like a mirror would reflect only to one spot. And we see an uninterrupted bright light. So it is just fakery. There's 5 of them. I think he said 2 of them are in Alaska. There's another one in another country. I forget exactly where they were, and they take turns. And if you watch the tracking of the ISS of where you can see it, there's certain times where you can see it, and then all of a sudden it's not there anymore, and then no one can see it for a couple of hours where it shows up across the globe somewhere else. And that's just because they're switching planes or refueling or whatever the hell they're doing. It's all nonsense. It's scientifically provable nonsense.
So why do they let you talk about this stuff? I mean, I have to believe that you're being suppressed in some capacity, right?
Well, I'm being shadow banned. That's why I go on everyone else's show, because if I put stuff on my channel, only my subs will get to see it, and then no one else can see it. Like one of the top videos out there is called "A Stranger's Guide to Flat Earth: 21 Questions." That's a pretty unique name. It has millions of views, although they've sequestered the views. But if you go into YouTube and search "A Stranger's Guide to Flat Earth: 21 Questions," it doesn't come up most of the time. Depends on, I think they've got algorithms in there like, all right, this person already knows about flat Earth. We'll let it come up. But if a random person does it, Stranger's Guide to Flat Earth: 21 Questions, it doesn't show up. It shows you get Simon Dan. You get all of these propaganda. Any search you put in there that has flat Earth in it will give you the same results. That proves what they're doing, right? They might get smarter because we've been talking about this for a while and change the algorithm so they get different results. But the fact that I could put a Stranger's Guide to Flat Earth, I could put Flat Earth Horizon, Flat Earth Boats Over the Curve on a flat Earth, I can put that, and I get the same results. That shows you that they're manipulating the results. So why am I allowed to
confirm it? It's all Professor Dave when I search for that.
Yeah, so and Professor Dave. And then in the app, the Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app by Blue Water Bay, but not by anyone else. If you go to the Debunking the Debunkers, you can find these breakdowns of Professor Dave and Psyop Mandan and all these guys. And it's not just going, it's fake. No, it's CGI. We're showing you what they're doing. We're explaining it to you, and you can go verify it yourself. I mean,
so to be clear, because I like I said, I haven't researched this. So what you're saying is the other, I guess, more prominent or more algorithmically favored results on these queries, are they spreading false information, or
yes,
are they
false information? There was a congressional hearing about fake news a couple of years ago, not that long ago, and during the hearings it was public hearing. They said, "What are you going to do about all these fake stories?" And they're like, for example, if somebody puts flat Earth, we're gonna put a wiki article below it saying, with more authoritative information, right? And so they used flat Earth as their example in the congressional hearing on what they're going to demote, not promote, and they're basically shadow banning the information. So again, if you guys just checked it, you search, you end up with their nonsense. It's not that the algorithm is favoring them; the algorithm's written for them. Okay, it is there to push, to give you nonsense and make you feel stupid for even questioning the shape of the Earth. If you go listen to Professor Dave, he's just like the snarky attitude, and he's straw manning us and he's gaslighting us with arguments that we don't say. And he'll never talk to us live. We tried to get him to come on a live show and have a debate, a discussion. He won't do it. He won't do it. Because he can't, because we'll destroy him. Same with Neil deGrasse Tyson, who constantly moves the goalpost. Constantly. Every time we expose something, he has to change it. He used to say, you can see the curve from an airplane. Then we showed how we go up to 120,000 feet. You can't see the curve. And then he was like, well, you can see it from this MiG fighter at 70,000 feet. But then we showed how one camera didn't have a fisheye on it and wasn't looking through curved glass. And it showed the horizon, it was the tail camera, I think, at eye level. And he goes, well, you have to be higher than that. You have to go, Felix Baumgarten, he couldn't even see the curve at 127,000 feet. Even though he said he did, he was looking through a fisheye lens because we showed that the cockpit camera in his capsule, when the door opened, showed the horizon at the exact same level as the cockpit camera did when they were still on the ground. Okay, so he's up at 127,000 feet, and the horizon's still at the exact same level as it was showing when they were on the ground. This shows you that the horizon rises to eye level as long as the atmosphere is clear enough to see the infinite horizon. The horizon is not a physical place because we don't live on a ball. It's just where perspective merges together. If you ever been to Vegas, go to like the Bellagio, the hallways are so friggin' long that if you go to one end of the hallway, the lights are on the ceiling or touching the floor at the other end of the hallway. That's all due to perspective.
Now, if the Earth is flat, because again, this is not something that I really seriously considered.
Listen, you don't have to keep saying that you haven't looked into it. Most people haven't. You're looking at this new, you're questioning me, you're listening, and it's up to you what you do with the information when we're done. So go ahead.
So what type of, what type of shape are we left with? And are we talking about like a flattened cylinder? What's this thing look like?
Good question. So the way I describe it is the Earth. I don't like saying they say space is infinitely large. I don't like saying we have an infinite plane. I like saying we have an extended plane because we don't know how far it goes. So the basement, we're at the foundation of the universe. What's below us? Well, what's below the core above the earth, below the Earth? The deepest hole ever dug, flat or round, is less than 8 miles, and nobody knows what's below that. There's an impenetrable barrier that they can't get through. They tried for years and years and years in the Great Borehole in Russia, and they couldn't get any farther, right? And by the way, when they were digging that hole, they were using ground-penetrating radar to see what they're going to hit next, and guess what? It was wrong every step of the way. Every step of the way. There's no more water. They hit water. There's no more rocks. They hit rocks, okay? And then all of a sudden, they hit this barrier. They can't get through it for years. They tried drilling. They tried blowing it up. They couldn't do anything. Some crazy stories came out of that hole, by the way. And then they finally just gave up. But somehow, even though they couldn't guess what they're going through the first 8 miles, they know what the next 4,000 miles are, right? They give us these memes showing us a molten magnetic core, which again is another misnomer because you can't have a molten magnet. When you heat a magnet up, it loses its magnetism, okay? All of the stuff they tell us is complete and total unconfirmed pseudoscience bullshit.
Okay, so we're thinking the Earth is no more than 8 miles thick, for lack of a better word.
No. I'm saying that's as deep as we can go. Maybe that's another firmament. Maybe there's another world below us. I couldn't tell you. Maybe that's where hell is, and that's the ceiling of hell. I don't know. I'm not even saying that there is hell. I'm saying that, if you look at Vedic cosmology and stuff, they talk about 7 different layers and less dense layers above us, maybe heavenly realms, and more dense layers below us. Okay. And
if we're in the bottom of the basement,
I don't think we're in the basement. I think that we are our world is, I guess there could be more below us. Now, again, there's lost cities that are buried below us. That's a whole nother rabbit hole. Okay. If you guys look into Tartaria, worldwide civilization and the mud floods, where there's buildings in every city, in New Jersey, in New York City, that are buried. They're like in the Flatiron building, I think there's like 17 floors below ground. Nobody knows about this, right? It's all hidden stuff because there was a cataclysm that happened in sometime in the 1800s, we think, where it buried most of the Earth. And then, these buildings that stuck out, they just made new doors and refitted the buildings. I mean, you look at look just in the app, the Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app, hit the web button and then hit Tartaria. And just watch that stuff. Watch those videos, and you'll be like, holy shit, everything I learned in history is a lie. All right. So our world, our oceans are pretty much circular from the best that we can tell. It's a circle because our sun, in our flat Earth pond, we have all the islands, which are the continents. At the very center, we have the North Pole, the magnetic North Pole. And the sun circles to the west around us. It just goes west, and west is a circle because if you imagine you're in a room and you have a pole and that's your magnetic pole, you point to that pole off your right shoulder. Well, that's north, and then directly in front of you, if you're pointing off your right shoulder, that's north, and walk straight in front of you would be west, but you have to keep turning to the right so your arm keeps pointing to that pole. West is a circle. Our sun and moon circle around in a circle. So that, and then they migrate 6 months out to a wider circle, Tropic of Capricorn, 6 months in to the inner circle, Tropic of Cancer. And the sun and everything in between those two lines is called the tropics. Everything inside the Tropic of Cancer, inside that northern circle, that's the Arctic region. All right. And anything outside of the bigger circle, that's the Antarctic region. Now, think about that. The Arctic region, if you're anywhere within that circle, you watch the sun and the sun circles around you, it arcs around you. But if you're outside of the bigger circle, the sun doesn't arc around you. It comes towards you and then it goes away. It antarcts. The Antarctic and the Arctic, they're talking about the sun. Okay. And again, seasons, life on Earth, the different latitudes, the plant animal life and the amount of light they get would be the same on a ball 6 months apart, but it's not. It's completely different in the south. Okay. The southern, our Antarctic is way different than the Arctic. That's because it has totally different light characteristics because of the way the world's set up. If it was a ball, it would be exactly the same as the North, but it's not because it's not a ball. It's a lot to take in, guys. It's a real lot to take in. But if you guys, here's what I tell people. Once you see flat Earth, you can't unsee it. You can try to forget this shit and you could try to distract yourself. And it's pretty easy to do with Netflix and all the other nonsense in the world, right? You can do that. Or you can just say, hey, you know what? I'm going to get Dave's app. It's only $3 and you don't have to subscribe. The subscription, the subscription is only for if you want to message other flat earthers. It has a find other flat earthers near you feature, but you can still see that feature. You just can't message. You can't send out messages. And then every day there's a new video. And I say, just watch every day when you get up and have your breakfast, watch the daily video. That's all you can do. One video a day. And within 2 weeks, you will lose the respect of your family and friends because you will be a flat earther.
I mean, $3 is a small price to pay for that.
Well, what I'm saying is you can spend 500 hours. That's funny. You can spend 500 hours researching and you'll probably find maybe 3 or 4 hours worth of quality content. Right. So if you're, how
many active users do you have?
There's 37,000 now.
Oh, wow. So
37,000 people on the friend finder. There's over 150,000 people that have the app.
Are you a developer? Like, did you make this app yourself?
I have a developer, but I designed it and I'm the creator of the entire thing.
Okay. But you can go on it and you can find other people. This is like a community. Like, are you familiar with the idea of like geocaching and stuff like that?
Well, it collects the least amount of data possible. Like if you don't want to use the friend finder, the app absolutely collects no information on you at all. But if you want to use the friend finder, you have to allow location services. But I could say but the default setting is put me within 5 miles of where I am randomly and keep moving me.
My question here is, it the location services?
Yeah.
If not by satellite, how are these powered?
Well, satellites have nothing to do with location services. GPS is ground positioning system. It's all done with the old LORAN system. LORAN, before GPS was around, is just towers that shoot out signals, and then they measure the time difference in between them where it's being received. And you look on a chart and you look at these 2 8-digit numbers and you say, oh, they're intersecting here. This is where I am. But then in the 1980s or 90s, they put a graphic overlay over it and said it was done by satellites. It was all it's still the same thing. The problem is when you go over southern oceans, when you go between California and Hawaii or over the deep Amazon, there's no GPS there. Why? Because why aren't satellites afraid to go over those areas? It's because that's not how GPS is done. It's done with ground positioning system. However, they have AWACS planes up there now, and they have balloons. NASA owns all of the helium companies in the world, and they are the largest consumer of helium themselves. They put up tens of thousands of satellites on balloons. There's over 17 different satellite balloon programs, and they can control these things electrostatically by raising and lowering them into different wind currents and keep them right where they want to keep them, and they stay up for years. But they've been crashing all over the world, and now that everybody has a high-def camera in their pocket, these images of them before they quickly get swept up are being released, and You can even find video. Just put up NASA balloon satellites, Antarctica, and you'll see they're launching these things all the time. So to say that they have nothing to do with GPS, that's changing as the technology changes. So,
right. But I mean, does the app run off of the Lorenz
system? No, the app runs off of Google Earth positioning, and that's all
Google
done.
Flat Earth.
Google, no, it's not Google Flat Earth. It's actually, because they won't map it onto an azimuthal equidistant map. They map it onto their Mercator map, and that's what we show it on. But that doesn't matter. It shows you where the flat earthers are around you. You can tap on a dot and message with them individually, or you can say, "Hey, I'm going to do a meetup. I'm going to I want everybody within 50 kilometers. It'll tell you all the dots within 50 kilometers, and you can send them a group message. Like right now, 50 kilometers for me shows like 250 people. I can send them a message. Hey, we're going to Saturday 2 p.m. Joe's Bar and Grill and Pizzeria. Come one, come all, and 123 Main Street. Bam. All these people show up, and it's amazing. And any blue dot, they're all, it's called, where are you a blue dot is the phrase that's going around. Any one of those people are awake, aware, unplugged from the matrix, awesome people.
Now, is it like, what's the vibe at a flat earth meetup? Like, what kind of people? Like
all kinds of people, doctors, homeless people, everything. When I say homeless people, there's people that live in their vans. There's people that are traveling from all over the country. We had an Olympian.
So this is libertarian friendly then, if you have homeless people there, right?
Absolutely. I don't know if there was any homeless people, but there's people from all walks of life. There's every single walk of life. Right. I was a businessman, right? I had my own company. I was doing super well, right? Making more money than I ever thought. I walked away from it all. We just had in South Carolina in October, we have a thing called Flattoberfest. And there's about 450 of us that showed up there. And it was one day was a presentations, and the second day was more of a music festival. Awesome people. I had the greatest time. We took over this giant Marriott down there. And we took over their deck area, and we just had great party and awesome people. I was down there for like 5 days. Amazing time.
So is there a flat earth personality type, would you say? Like, I imagine there's got to be certain traits, like, shamelessness, not in a bad way, but like,
I mean, if a trait is somebody that has opened their eyes to the deceptions of this world, yeah, there's a trait. Somebody that has the ability to let their ego down and realize, hey, this world isn't what I was taught, and that's okay. Now that I know, life is different. Everyone that's there is an honest, amazing person. The app, there's people using the app to hire people. Like if you have a business and you need to hire some people, well, that all those blue dots around you are good people. They're messaging them like, hey, now I've got a hardware store. I'm looking for a full-time employee. I've got a restaurant. I've got this. I've got that. Bam. And people are hiring them, because when you're hiring somebody, you get all sorts of people in. The last thing is they're knowing how to do the job, because they can learn that. What kind of person are they? Are they a good person? Are they awake and aware to what's going on in the world? Well, yes, all the blue dots are. Are they honest? Well, you know what? I would say almost all flat earthers are honest. They're way more honest than people that are living on a spinning ball, flying out of control, who become very nihilistic. But when you realize the earth is flat, it's not the shape that matters. It's holy shit, this world is intelligently designed. There's a creator. Like before I discovered flat earth, I was full on atheist, I guess, if you had to label me. I never really liked to label myself. I was maybe a little spiritual, but I was like, nah, we developed from pond scum and became monkeys. Then the monkeys had a retarded baby and it was human, right? I believed all of that nonsense, which is part of the heliocentric system. But then I realized this place is intelligently designed and we're at the center of creation. This is the most awesome place we live. This is an amazing world we live in. And that's what they don't want you to know.
So have you successfely caused a marriage through the Flat Earth
You've been listening.
Social media app?
You have been listening. Yes. A marriage has happened, and a couple divorces have happened.
Wait, you've caused a divorce?
Well,
but
there was I won't give any names, but in another country, There was two people. They met up on the app. They had a meetup. They started a Telegram group, and they both of them, male and a female, were in horrible relationships, and they just were afraid to leave. You know, a lot of people don't get divorced until they absolutely have to. They're just like, they just deal with it because they're afraid of being alone, or, you know, they can't make it on their own. And these two met up and they're like, you know what? I'm ready. And they left and they split and they got married. That happens. I didn't cause the divorce. It helped these people find their way quicker. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Man, talk about flat smacked.
Yeah. and again, you know, people are using it as a dating app, but here's the thing. Click on a blue dot, whether it's a male or a female, go have a beer or a coffee or a lunch with the person, and immediately you have more in common with that person than you'll ever meet a random person. You know, if you're meeting random people, you don't have as much in common with them as this. Even if you're on a dating site or a friendship site, if that's even a thing, you're not going to have as much in common with this person. All of the blue dots have so much in common. We're awake and we're aware. We see through the bullshit. We know about the nonsense that's going on in the world right now. And that's a huge thing. More important than, you know, couples that have different religions. This is way more important. Being able to see reality is huge.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely a flat earther appreciator. I think they're fun people.
I thank you, because we are super fun. Are you guys aware of cryptocurrency?
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, we're both
awesome
Bitcoin guys.
Good. I'm offering 3 Bitcoins for 1 proof of the globe to anybody out there. All you have to do is get the app, watch the featured, no catch, featured video every day for 2 weeks, and then come up with 1 proof of the globe. But before you send it to me, and I have to go, listen, silly, you have to hit the frequently asked questions button, because it's probably answered in there already. Like, you know, will seasons prove the earth is a globe? And I'm like, really? And then I'll send you the seasons, you know, some of the seasons videos. You'll see that and go, oh, actually, that proves the earth is flat. What about, you know, boats over the horizon? And I'll show you how, if we lived on a ball 24,901 miles around, a 6-foot tall person standing at the edge of calm water should see a physical horizon no farther than 3 miles away. But you guys know that we can see much farther than 3 miles when standing at the edge of the water. Well, if it was a ball, you should not be able to see the surface of the water beyond 3 miles, but we can. And we can see it much, much, much farther. The radius of the earth, that's a line from the center of the earth to the edge of the earth, is just short of 3,000 miles, 4,000 miles, 3,958, I think. So,
I mean, what would you take as proof of globe? I mean, you're talking about like $150,000.
Yeah. I would take anything that proves the globe. But here's the thing. We can see distances that would require if the earth was a globe, would require a radius of over 250,000 miles when the stated radius of the earth is under 4,000 miles. Okay. It's not even close. You know, some people say, you know, some debunking sites like the curve calculator is wrong. It shouldn't be a 66-foot drop at 10 miles, because the item, you know, the two people 10 miles apart, they're both sharing that drop. So it's only 33 feet. Well, that's complete and total nonsense. However, we don't even need it. I'll give it to you. I can see something 6 feet high, 10 miles away, that should be 33 feet below the curve, right? And it's not. It's right there, right? You can't pull the refraction nonsense on me. You can't pull the curve calculator. There is no curvature. Large bodies of water at rest, they flat. Level is level, okay? They're water level, right? Sea level. Airplane.
Yeah, the line of sight stuff is pretty freaky for anyone who hasn't looked into it. Like,
yeah,
that is probably like the biggest nagging thing about flat Earth for me.
That's the thing that got me. So I was watching all these videos, you know, people doing laser tests, mirror flashes, and I said, all right, I got to do this myself. And that's just when the Nikon P900 came out. I bought a new camera, tripod, cost me like $1,000, maybe even more. And I started zooming in on things. I'm like, whoa, holy crap. Like, there it is. You know, the boat disappeared over the horizon. I zoomed in. There it is again. I could still see it. How come I could see in Long Island a beach 7 miles away when I'm sitting just a foot over the water and I can see the shoreline? I can see the beach over there. That's impossible. All of this stuff is impossible. And using their math, they're using their curvatures. These are things that you can prove. So in the app, there's what about boats over the horizon button. Just hit that, and all of the videos that you won't be able to find on YouTube are all there. There's dozens and dozens and dozens of them, and just watch a couple of them, and you'll be like, wow. And then if you don't believe it, people go, where do you get your information? YouTube. Well, YouTube is just it's like life. It's filled with crap and good stuff too. You got to sort out the good stuff and use your common sense instead of nonsense and figure out what's what. But all the videos are there. They can show you all the tests that we've done, and then then you'll be there. And here's the thing: if you're going to discover flat Earth and you have a significant other, I would advise you to have them watch the videos with you. Take it slow. Don't jump on and say, yeah, the Earth is flat. Just watch these videos, and within that 2 weeks, you'll be like, okay, there's a problem with the globe, right? And then the more you look and the more you try to prove the globe, the quicker you become a full-on flat earther.
Like a flat Earth date night.
Flat Earth date night. Let me tell you something. My girl and I, we're never bored. We never have nothing to talk about. We never stare at a wall. We never. There's always something to do. Even on the app, there's featured videos, full-length videos. Get rid of Netflix. Get rid of your television and start watching these videos. They're amazing. They're well done. Like if I went to a movie theater, what does a movie cost these days? $20? I don't know. I haven't been in years. I'd be wow, that's a great movie. These movies are blockbuster quality, awesome movies, and they're all there listed in the app, and they're free. I mean, the app's $3 for life. Okay, the subscription is $11 a year or 99 cents a month. You don't have to get it, but if you want to connect with other flat earthers, then you can get it. Anything else, guys?
I mean, this is powerful stuff.
Yeah, it is. And it's a lot to take in. Now, you have a couple choices. You go to bed and you can try to forget it all, but it's not. I just planted a seed so deep in your head, it's gonna sprout and your head's gonna explode one day if you don't let it air out. So here's what I tell people. Take it slow. Just get the app and just watch the daily video each day. And then after the daily video, you're like, hey, I want another one. Let the next video play, because the most of the days they're in a playlist. And so, like, cause if you said, hey, Dave, send me something on the fake moon landings, I'll send you that. And then the next video that Google will serve you is an anti-propaganda, it's a propaganda video. So the app will feed you good video after good video after good video. There is a lifetime worth of information in the app, all done in video form. And just start watching these things, and it'll be like the old days of YouTube. That's how I became a flat earther. Somebody sent me a couple of videos, and then YouTube just kept suggesting amazing flat earth videos. That never happens anymore. Okay, it's like, watch this, watch Eric Dubé's 200 proofs, watch ODD 21 questions, watch this, watch Mark Sargent's clues. Right? I'm like, whoa, and it just kept coming in, and that was just every day I would Google flat earth, bam, a whole bunch of new videos, taboo conspiracy, all of this stuff, and I'm like, wow. You do that now, you get nothing. You get nothing. The app was made to bypass all of this, and it's working. So, check it out. Read the reviews on the app, besides the few trolls and haters out there, or somebody that has like the oldest smartphone. It's like, it's not working on my phone. 1 star, right? Just read all the reviews, and you'll be like, wow, it's like one of the highest rated apps in the App Store. Google Play, Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app by Blue Water Bay, Apple App Store, and soon to be on the Amazon store for those of you that hate Google.
So I want to confirm this is you. I think this was you. A couple of years ago, I'm pretty sure this is a video on your channel, very relevant to our listenership. Are you a Peloton user? Did you troll the Peloton instructor into promoting flat Earth? Was that you?
Oh, no, so not Peloton. It wasn't that long ago either. It was, I have a, what the hell's the name of it? I have it's like a Peloton. I'm just spacing on the name. I'm looking at the bike right now, but it's like a Peloton. So you take these online classes, and my username is Flat Earth Dave, right? And because I'm pretty healthy and I can crank out, I'm usually in the top 3 in the class. And when they yell out names, is that what you're saying? Is that what you're recalling? When they called out? Yeah. So that they call out names. I've been doing a bunch of classes, and I record them So whenever they yell my name, I take the clip, and I'm getting to the point where I'm ready to make a compilation video, follow up to that one with 50 shout outs.
I cannot wait. I love when people troll the cycling instructor.
I can't send messages, but they call me. Sometimes they say stuff like "Flat Earth Dave." That's interesting. You must like flat roads, or whatever. But it is pretty funny, and also everybody that's in the class. Sometimes there's 200, 300 people in a class. They get to hear Flat Earth Dave. And then if anyone Googles Flat Earth Dave, well, guess what? You're going to find some good stuff. If you Google Flat Earth Dave and then sort by upload date, bam, you get it. Or Flat Earth Dave interviews on YouTube. That's one of my YouTube channels, Flat Earth Dave interviews. And if you forget all of that, just remember flatearthdave.com, flatearthdave.com.
Well, I don't think there's anyone grinding and hustling harder than you out there. the level of self-promotion is admirable.
Well, what? Honestly, it's double-sided. The more I self-promote, the more people are going to wake up, right? I'm not saying, hey, I want you to buy this $300 course, right? Although my information is probably worth more than that. I'm saying buy this $3 app that you have for the rest of your life. Okay. It's literally nothing. And the reason I want you to have it is not because I want your $3. It's because it'll wake you up to Flat Earth, and then you'll wake other people up to Flat Earth. The only way we're going to survive this great reset, this tyranny that's happening right now, if people get their heads out of their asses and out of infinite space and put their feet on the ground on this flat, stationary Earth and realize that they're at the center of creation and take our power back. All of the stuff that's going on in the world right now, all of this tyranny is happening because people are letting it happen because they don't know their own power. That's why I'm doing this. That's why I quit my own company. That's why I am hustling my ass off to help people wake the fuck up.
All right. Well, yeah, heck of a sales pitch.
All right. Anything else?
Lee?
No, I'm good. It's good talking to you.
All right. So I highly recommend check out the app. If you can include a link in the description so people can find it, or just flatearthdave.com. There should be a QR code right there or a link for the app. You're good to go.
Sweet.
Awesome.
All right, guys. Thanks.
See ya.
Yeah. Thanks for talking to us.
All right. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.